Yeah, I'm Gary Peters and I'm heading up business development for SelectSUP. And I've traveled over here from South Africa to New Zealand because I have a definite passion about building with SIPS panels. I believe they are the way that the industry should be heading, and there is a huge need for it in this market. And having kind of explored through New Zealand, I've found that there's a lack of skilled tradesmen. There's a lack of new products coming into the market, and we're not delivering the warm, healthy homes that a lot of people seem to profess to. So in the last year that I've been with SelectSUP, we've managed to create a national footprint across New Zealand. We're the only SIP company that has done that. Every one of our factories is builder owned, which I think sets us apart from a lot of the other suppliers out there, which means that we, instead of wanting to supply just an element of a build in our panel, we want to build homes, and we want to build what we call high performance homes. And that's led me to the super home movement, which I found attractive because it bridges a gap between what's currently being built and this passive high-end home, which has a very high price tag or perceived high price tag. And there's a very big space there for a demand for a product that's affordable, can be built fast, that doesn't need a lot of skilled labor. A lot of that labor is transformed into our factory. And yeah, it's an exciting space to be in. The difference we bring to the market is that we're water stable at our panel. It means we meet the E2 barrier at our SIP panel. We don't need a wrap. You can plaster directly onto the panel. Your claddings become an aesthetic or a screen as opposed to a weather protection. So I'm very interested to see how our product sits within the base, better, best space within the super home movement, and then how we can do some good brand alignment with other like-minded companies, architects, designers, engineers, etc., that are sitting in the space and form not only a collaboration, but a space that's informative, that's educational. It's not just about our SIP panels in my mind, it's about building SIPs in general, no matter who the supplier is. Let's build that space up and get people into it, because it's definitely the way, I believe it's the way of the future. And it's being a tradesman, coming from the space where I've come from. I'm a plumber that's morphed into building, and I understand how valuable that tradesperson time is. This SIP space really benefits not only the builder, but it ripples down to every single supplier in that space. So I think it's very exciting, and yeah, I'm keen to see that all the projects we're taking off, how we start branding them with Superhome and maybe tractioning Superhome into other areas, seeing we've got this national footprint and we into Australia and we into other countries, and see how the synergy can work together. So yeah, I think it's exciting, and it's interesting for me to be getting into this. So a SIP panel is a structurally insulated panel, and that's what it does. It forms a structure, it insulates at the same time in a panel format, and that panel format works in material increments or material sizes. So we generally build in a 1200 watt space that could be 2.73 meter or 3.2 high, and we have an EPS core which can vary in size. In general, we like to have a 162 millimeter wall size. That's to external side of our sheathings, and that product at the moment exceeds the upcoming H1 rule changes. So with that in mind, and then having our unique recipe for a sheathing that doesn't have any nutrients, it's healthy, it's got no chlorides in it, and it's water stable. It starts to take away certain layers of the building process. Internally, we don't need extra layers of jib inside, so we integrate our services into our panels, and we're really trying to bring designers and architects on board with this, because the more we do things in design, the smarter we are in manufacture. We can take good electrical layouts, good plumbing layouts, take those services, put them into our panel, cassette them out into larger formats, and then deliver large cassetted integrated panels to site that already have their windows in, they already have their claddings on. You're delivering a very finished product. And like the idea of SIPS is also that we step out of certain supply chains. We have our own supply chain, so we're not bound by most suppliers out there, and we're not limited to how much we can produce. We can, out of one plant, pretty much almost print a house a day, 120 square meter house, panels, floor, walls, and ceiling. We can almost press that in one day. So in terms of scalability and solving a crisis in New Zealand for delivering homes quickly, smartly, that don't have to have skilled labor behind it or huge amounts of skilled labor locking up their time, we definitely have that footprint, and the capability to do it. So, I think that's what a SIPS panel is. We were able to span 7.2 meters in our panels. We have a modified box spline, which is the joining system between the panels, which has steel in it. And again, that's another thing that just says, well, you don't need as many screw poles in the ground. You can span bigger on your ceiling lengths. When you design in our SIPS space, it gets even smarter. So you start to save on engineering. We have code mark, which is approved for Australia and New Zealand, which means we don't have to go through all the steps in council that most people have to. Our code mark, which is the highest code mark in the country, kind of steps through that. When it comes to building inspections on site, where you'd normally have 11 and 15 inspections, we down between 3 and 5. So again, all these hurdles and challenges we're facing in the building industry in New Zealand, we're just trying to make them, or take them away and make it a lot easier for your general tradie, your general carpenter, skilled person to really do what they enjoy, and be as, how do you put it, efficient in their time on site, which is so important, because that's one thing we can't manufacture more of is time, and just make sure that they're earning. And it comes back to our ethos. We builder-owned. We're always thinking from that point of view. We're always sitting there thinking, well, how do we do this better? How does the guy on site, how did he get to work it better? How do we make it quicker? How do we work through the weather conditions? How do we, pivot through or step through council challenges or engineering challenges a lot quicker? Yeah. So when it comes to the price point, which we've been working really, really hard to drive our price point down, we're sitting in a space right now where we almost on the same level as your timber, your sticks and fluff in terms of building, where we do start to beat the price, and that's why we've chosen to be a home builder as opposed to a panel supplier. It's the end-to-end solution. We speed up the build time on site. We're 60% quicker in terms of building. When you start taking into things like not needing an external wrap, not needing to have to put an extra layer of jib board inside the house, you can just jib stop our tapered joints and paint across that. There are levels that start coming in which make us cheaper, makes us more affordable. The other side to that is that because we produce what I believe is the healthiest home, there's these ongoing costs that people don't see behind the fact. There's less chance of asthma, there's less medical bills coming through, there's a massive impact from there. We try and work in a zero waste space, which means you're not carting rubble away from a site. So there's all these added benefits, and the speed of construction, you start to layer that out, and you look at people that are building a house, they're taking out home financing, they're paying rent at the same time. All these costs, if you start bringing those costs, you think broadly on those savings, we become a lot cheaper. And then just with Superhome, by building within all these 10 parameters that they've set, the cost of your day-to-day running comes down. So, when people talk costs and you walk out there and you say it's a square meter cost, that needs to be taken away. And you need to add what I like to term as a cost of life. It's a cost of ownership. And that's the process that we're on. And that's the message that we need to kind of get across. For us as a group and as a business, joining the Superhome means we get to partner with a company that has a track record, that has a reputation. So for us being a part of that, tapping into a supply chain that already is well established and on the same track, it means a huge amount, because as we put products across and we get to stamp it as a base, better, best type option of super home, it gives it a certain amount of validity. And you can now say, hang on a sec, it's because we're a new business or a startup, even though we've been going for 5 years and our focus has been on getting our code mark, there's a nice stamp that comes across there. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh no, we build warm, healthy homes. Well, we need to prove it. And that's the great thing now. We have a whole lot of projects coming through. We get Superhome to start looking at them and saying, well, have you designed it right? What is your thermal performance? How's the structure working, the windows, the air tightness, before we hit the ground? Tweak those things, get into building consent, and then come back with the beauty of Superhome is that it's not only about saying, well, this is what we're going to do, here's the way we're going to monitor and improve what we said we're going to do. So that's an exciting space to be in. So in the long term, it's about just getting some kind of, it's building a brand and solving a problem. It's pretty straightforward. There's a problem to be solved, bring the price point down, deliver a warm, healthy home, and accredit it. And I think that's the word I was struggling to find. It gives it a good accreditation. And because Superhome's building and networking across the country, we get to do the same thing and build with that partnership. The renovation space is quite interesting, that it becomes quite an intrusive space on the homeowner. You've got these builders coming to your house every day, trying to live through the day-to-day life. It's impacting you, and it can be really tiresome. I know back in the day when I was renovating, the first question I'd ask the couple was how strong is your marriage? Because this is going to be a testing experience for you. And as much as we don't want to impact on that space, it's going to happen. When it comes to SIPs, because of the speed of our construction, if you spend a lot more time in planning, a lot of good design practice is put behind it, it eliminates a lot of that process on site. So we're just starting to do some renovations, and I'm very excited to be in that space, because again, by integrating the services, your electrical, your plumbing, whatever, into your panels, we're going to stop the amount of tradesmen on the site. And it ripples down. The client gets happy. The tradies playing in that space, which is generally guys that are just trying to win the smaller jobs and get through there, they get to see the benefits of it. And it's exciting. We've got 2 or 3 projects that are coming through there. And I think it's a market that we haven't really put focus onto in our business development, but I think it's going to be a lot bigger than we anticipate. And there'll be a space in our broader business plan and model that your general contractor can just go out, pick up a couple of SIP panels, put them out on site, and just by doing that one application, he's knocked out his insulation, his first fix electrical, his first fix plumbing, his sheathing, his external cladding, his internal cladding, all in one hit, and he can get those trades done in one day. So it's an exciting space for us to be in. And, I'm looking forward to tackling it. When you're looking at whether it's going to be where the healthy home movement is going in New Zealand, one thing you've got to pay attention to is that it's predicted that 80% of the current homes in New Zealand will be around in 2050. And that's quite a remarkable stat. That means that to get those homes up to becoming a super home, you need to have a super renovation. And there's a massive space to fit there. And if it was for any kind of building business, that renovating market is a lot bigger than the new building market. It's much, much bigger. So it's an exciting space to be playing in, and then to deliver something that's high quality, best, better, best. Yeah, I think it's exciting.